Well, hello and welcome back to our More to Life series here at Manor Park Church, in which we attempt to answer this pretty big question: is there more to life than perhaps the world has to offer? Well, I'm joined today by Brendan, who's going to be sharing his story and his experiences and his take on this question: is there more to life? So, hello Brendan.
Hello Johnny.
Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Great. Yeah, very well. Thanks, very well.
Good.
Brendan, why don't you just quickly tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, so obviously my name's Brendan. I'm a maths teacher by trade. Grew up in Manchester. Lived in Newcastle for a bit after uni. This is the furthest south I've lived, in Worcester. I'm married to Ruth, and we've got 4 kids: Sam, who's 11, Rebecca, who's 8, Sophie, who's 5, and Esther, who's just turned 4 today. So they're in the other room playing with some of those presents.
Great. Happy birthday, Esther. A bit of a curveball to start with, Brendan. What is your earliest memory?
Earliest memory. I've got a really random memory. I remember a lot of specific things, but I've struggled with my earliest memory because nothing that exciting happened. No change of home or anything like that. So my earliest memory, I've got 2 I can't decide between. So one is a Christmas present. I wanted a Man United kit for Christmas. And my mum went to a local market and got me what she thought was a Man United kit, but it was basically, well, she knew it was a bit of a dodgy one. It was basically a red shirt with white shorts, and it had a badge, United badge, you had to sew on. So I can't remember if I was happy or not. It was a United kit. It wasn't the proper one, but that's one memory. And the other one, so I reckon there must have been 5 or 6, because the other one was the first or second year of primary school, and I don't know what happened, but there's some big fight in the playground, and literally everyone in the class, all the boys, got in trouble apart from me and this other boy, and I was part of it, or I did something in it, but I didn't get any trouble. I just remember keeping quiet and feeling really, really guilty about it. So there's my 2 earliest memories, Johnny.
Love it. Great memories. Sounds like you had a fun childhood.
Yeah, I was quite a good kid. That was a one-off. I wasn't normally getting in trouble. I was too small and weak. I wouldn't get in a fight. I'd always lose.
Great stuff. So growing up, would you say that God played a big part in your life?
Well, I generally struggle to remember. I can remember certain events, but I can't remember what I was feeling or thinking, apart from maybe that one story. Basically, I grew up in a Catholic home. My parents were Irish, so by default we were Catholic. Went to a Catholic school, went to Catholic church on Sunday, but we didn't talk about God. The only time I ever heard Jesus was a swear word out, not necessarily at home, but that's the only time I ever heard the word. So I never talked about God. I don't know if I believed in God. I probably did, but I never ever thought about it. Like I said, even at RE at school, went to Catholic church most Sundays, but I genuinely can't remember what I thought at all about God. I probably believed God existed, but knew nothing about him or Jesus or even discussed it with anybody.
Well, you call yourself a Christian now, so yeah. What changed? Was there an event or a person that prompted you to think about God more, think about Jesus more, and the role that he plays in life and in the world?
Yes and no. No big event, no friend or anything, or big person who influenced me. It was basically, I was at university, so I was 20. Being a maths teacher, I did a maths degree, and I was walking to my lecture. It was a little bit early, and this guy was handing out flyers. It was to a CU, Christian Union event, so explaining what the Christian message was. And I got the flyer. I was a bit early, so I'll be 5 minutes just stand outside. So I started talking to the guy, but I'm not very good at small talk, so I just kept saying, "What time is it?" He goes, "It says 7." It says 7. Where is it? It's at lecture 33. It says it. So just really boring conversation. But put it in my pocket, thought nothing of it. Got to my lecture. It wasn't the most exciting lecture in the world. So within 5 minutes, I was just playing around with. We didn't have smartphones back then, so I was just playing around with whatever's in my pocket. And I found this. Yeah, exactly. Counting's the first lecture in maths, Johnny. I don't know why, I was just convinced to go to it. So this was a Friday, and for some reason it was on a Friday night, 7 o'clock or 7:30. So I told my housemates I'll meet them out later, so we're going out somewhere. So I just went off to this thing, didn't tell them where I was going, and I went to this event. And it was pretty good at first. This guy came up and said something about something, I can't remember. Then they played Lenny Kravitz. Thought, there we go, it's a bit of good music. Some band played Lenny Kravitz. But then this guy came up and did what I'm doing now, which is give his testimony. And then it was going fine till he mentioned the word Jesus. And then it just got, for me, it was just corny, it's a bit weird. Like, what are you chatting about Jesus for? That's a swear word at best. You know, it's a historical figure maybe, but why are you talking about Jesus in that sense? It's really weird. But I was quite polite, so when it finished, I gave it 90 seconds. I was going to walk out. About 80 seconds went, about to stand up. This guy sat next to me who recognised me from maths and started talking to me, inviting me to church. And because I'm polite, Johnny, you might not think it, I decided, oh, go on then, I'll go. So on a Sunday, I turned up where someone else was meant to meet me, and he wasn't there. So I gave it 5 minutes, because Johnny, I'm polite. And then I was about to walk off. In fact, I started walking home, thought I turned up, I did my bit. And then the person I was about to meet sort of caught up with me, and then, walked to church together. And it was not the church event that I've normally seen before. So it was, for example, I'm used to your buildings, your liturgy, your sort of, I'll be harsh here, but quite dry. Turned up, first of all, it was in a school building. Second of all, it was an evangelistic service, so it was a bit different to normal. They were talking about Friends Reunited, so the precursor to Facebook, and that linked into another guy giving his testimony. And then basically during that service, I decided to investigate what Christianity was all about. So from nothing on the Friday morning, not even thinking about it, didn't even care about it, for the next week I was going to 3 things. So basically going to church every week. I was going to a thing called Identity, which is a bit like Christianity Explored or Alpha, so exploring the Christian faith, and going to Christian Union, which is Christians at university meeting together. So from nothing, I started going to 3 things a week, and I spent a couple of months just really investigating, like, is this true? Is what they say about Jesus true? And I remember reading for the first time the Gospel of John. I knew a lot of the stories in there, but I've never read the Gospel from beginning to end, or any of the books of the Bible. And I was just really intrigued, and I spent a couple of months investigating what I think is investigating, and I came to the conclusion that I think Jesus is the Son of God. I think God does exist, and that's the conclusion I got to after a couple of months.
That's a wonderful testimony, and I feel like everyone at some point, we're asking this big question here in these videos, more to life, and it's a question that probably everyone's asked at some point in their lives, isn't it? And I think everyone owes it to themselves to do what you did and investigate this question: is there more to life? And just read the Bible and go to talks and go to church and just find out for themselves: is there more to life?
Yeah, and if I can carry on. The big thing was I decided that I thought it was true, but I wasn't a Christian after those 2 months, because I might have believed that he was the Son of God, believed that God existed, I'm not going to go into all the details here, but look at the people who prepared to die for Jesus dying. They're not going to make it up. If they were, they wouldn't go to death for it. The fact of where his body's gone, the miracles, how many people saw it, but that didn't make me a Christian. That just made me think something was factually correct. It took me another 6 months before I became a Christian, and the reason for that is it took me 6 months to realise why Jesus came, why Jesus, Son of God, came to earth, and it took me a long time to understand that he came to die on a cross for me. Now, I like to think I'm not daft, but I was really slow in the uptake in that, and I think the reason was because it affected me. So if I go back to my story about my earliest memory, I struggled to remember when I was naughty at school. That was one of the times, but I didn't get caught. I was probably quite, a goody two-shoes at school. I didn't really get in much trouble. If I did, it was always someone else's fault. It wasn't my fault. If I argued with my parents, it wasn't me or my brother. It's not my fault. It's their fault. It took me ages to realise that I was sinful, that I was part of the reason that Jesus had to come to earth to die on a cross. So I'm quite stubborn. I like to think I don't do much wrong. It took me ages to realise actually the biggest thing was rejecting Jesus, rejecting God, not recognising him who as he was. And I might have covered up my sort of worldly sin, so to speak. I might have covered up my, lies or deceit or anger. I might have covered up quite well, but I couldn't cover them up compared, to God. So it took me that amount of time to realise why Jesus came to earth. And I think it was 6 months later than that, like I said, that I actually became a Christian when I decided to follow Jesus for myself, not just believe it, understand it, but decide to follow him and repent and recognise what he came to do when he died on the cross.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for sharing that, Brendan, and thank you for your time today.
That's all right, Johnny.
Yeah, it's been great. If you want to do what Brendan did and explore the Christian faith a bit more and find out what we as Christians believe, and maybe get a few answers to this question, is there more to life, then why not join us on a Sunday service? There's a link to our website down in the description in this video, or just send us a message on our social media, and we'd love to reach out and get in touch with you, and just have a chat and find out what questions you might have for us. But yeah, thank you, Brendan, for joining us.
That's all right, Johnny.
And until next time.